welcome to another episode of Family Gamer TV. I'm with Max Geiger, producer of the Unfinished Swan.
So this first level actually came about as a prototype that our creative director Ian Dallas put together while he was in grad school at USC's Interactive Media Division.
Yeah.
So he had an assignment to do a different prototype every week, and this was just one of those prototypes, and it kind of stuck. And this was back in 2008, and so we kind of ran with it. And after about a year or so, that's where the Swan came in, and the story elements started to get layered in. The backstory for the whole game is that you play Monroe, who's a 9-year-old boy who's been orphaned, and his mother left him just a painting of a swan that she didn't complete. And so this unfinished swan gets up out of its painting one evening and wanders off in this mysterious world. And so you follow it, wanting to hold on to the last thing that you have of her. And so,
that's a really emotive story, isn't
yes,
it?
yeah. And this game is really about unfinished things. And, one of the things is that there's nothing quite as unfinished as an orphan child.
So we're just in a white area, and you're just flying with the move controller. So as you're moving it around, you're controlling where that blue pointer is.
Yes. So so when we're playing with the move, we have both this reticle on screen and then this cursor.
Yeah.
And then wherever we splat with the cursor, that's where we're going to throw a paintball. So we start players off in this very simple box room, and it takes most of them about 3 minutes or so just to get used to the concept of splatting to reveal the space around them.
Oh, I see. So the space you're starting is white, but it has architecture in it. You just can't see it.
Yes,
until you hit it. With
you're revealing the world around you through throwing black paint. A table or a bench.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a bench.
Yeah. So we leave that simple room, and then we enter into this slightly more complex garden space, and there's more to explore, more to discover here. Our goal for the game is to instill in players a sense of awe and wonder. And the way that we do that is through discovery, surprise, and exploration.
So how are you controlling movement here? Because you're moving through the space, aren't you?
Yes. So with just the move, you can move forward by holding the trigger button, and move backwards by pressing circle. You can jump with a quick little jolt up or press X, and then you tilt and look to sort of steer your view around. If we were playing with a Navcon or with a DualShock 3 in the other hand, you could use the left stick to move around and strafe while changing your view. Or we can just play with a DualShock 3, and it's fairly standard console first-person shooter control. So this frog is one of the many things that you can discover by exploring through the world. Yeah. And so we also want to layer in, not too much, but just a little bit of a sense of fear and a sense of dread in this world. It's something that we found that a lot of the best storybooks have. And it helps to keep players sort of on edge a little bit as they're exploring this white space and curious about what's around every corner or what's in the white. Unfortunately, E3 is not the best environment to hear it, but we're fortunate enough to be working with a really great sound designer, Mike Niederquell. And he's layering in a very rich and believable, realistic world in terms of sound design for us. So we're hoping that players actually, after they play through this level a couple of times, will become familiar enough with the different ambiences and sound effects to know where they are, so that they might be able to play without even splatting once.
Oh, really? So you could navigate without...
If you knew the underlying geometry well enough...
Because you'd hear the geometry.
You could hear your way through the different areas.
Does that mean someone who's visually impaired could play it?
I think they'd have to become familiar with the underlying geometry beforehand, before they could do that, so I don't think we quite support that. Yeah. But a lot of people do liken the experience of splatting black on this all-white world as to being blind and sort of feeling your way through the world. Yeah. That each of these splats is actually you reaching out and touching the world in order to get a sense of where you're going. So here's a little overlook moment. And we can take a look back and see what our progress has been. And this is unique to our playthrough right here. Yeah. And we try to layer in these different moments for players to take a look at what they've done, see where they've been, see what they've created in essence. This statue here is actually a statue of one of the other main characters in the game, who we'll come to learn more about as we play through this level and the whole game. And we call him the King. And the King is actually the character who's built all of these different worlds. And so he built this crazy garden, this surreal experience of an all-white space when he was in his youthful, artistic, we like to call it his Salvador Dali phase. And the other level that we have to show today is something that he built when he was in a more militaristic mindset, when he was trying to prove some of his machismo and ability to create a world as a man in his image. So we're now in the King's statue garden, and so we've got some statues of some of the King's favorite animals, and then some foods, derived from those animals. Yeah, and we like to use color very sparingly, but we found that just a little bit really helps ground the player and give them the confidence to navigate in this space, which can be a little bit daunting if it's just entirely white all the time. So we did that in the earlier section with those swan footprints that you saw, which hinted at the right path to go in. And in the statue garden here, it's some of the important details of these different statues. So this letter right here, when you splat these letters in the world, they reveal these storybook pages, which tell you a little bit more about the world, a little bit more about the king, what you're doing, what you're discovering.
So it's his world you're exploring.
Yes, worlds that he's created in different phases of his life.
So you're going to be exclusive on PSN?
Yes.
Had you thought about other platforms, and like iPad or...?
Well, the deal that we have is very similar to the deal that game company had with Sony. So we're incubated within Sony Santa Monica right now. So we're PSN exclusive for the time being.
So it sounds like the support you get from Sony is more than just financial.
Yes, I mean, they give us space, they give us advice, they give us equipment, so they're really good people to work with.
And is that unusual? Do other platform holders do that sort of thing?
It's of the deals that we were offered, this was certainly, I'd say, the most generous in those terms. Yeah. So Sony have been really, really good to work with.
Yeah, go them. It's what they do well, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I think they really believe in supporting smaller, independent projects like this. All right.
Well, thanks for your time.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. That's all we've got time for on this week's Family Gamer TV, but we'll be back with more soon.